Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here chatting to you a little bit about the North Node going through Aries. And this will start on the 18th of July 2023 and will go through till the 11th of January 2025. So, when will this begin? What will this do? So this is going to be really hard, I think, for certain people that have not prepared themselves for certain harsh truths. So yeah, this is about the body. This is about the different tissues in your body. This is about how it works, how it hasn't been working. Also the obsession. If you've ever had a certain type of obsession with like weight training or bodybuilding, that's going to probably come back full form. If you've been very, very obsessed and emotional about also somebody and being next to somebody, that's going to be very, very intense and also interestingly doable now. Like people are going to maybe sacrifice their whole life to be a part of somebody's life or to be somebody. Also, this is about charisma, this is about enigma, this is about starting a new game, this is about starting a new job. Some people are having like itchy feet. There's a entrepreneurial disease, meaning people wanting to do it all for themselves, meaning people wanting to start their online businesses today, people wanting to make money their way, people wanting to be also actors and singers and dancers and also wanting to be needed. But unfortunately, that's not really what this time is about. Aries is just the flesh, is just the body. It's just the body, it's the first house. So also, as you probably know, the North Node doesn't travel from start to finish of the sign. It starts at the end of the sign and it travels up to the top of the sign, which is interesting. So the North Node also has a South Node, obviously. So the South Node will be in Libra. So kudos to you. Very nice. Good on you. Maybe a lot of people will have no problems starting relationships. People will have absolutely no problems being around people. Maybe there's going to be a real understanding of what true love is. Maybe people are going to understand the point of material things. Maybe there's going to be a certain type of balancing in the universe during this time for different reasons. So there's going to be different types of also people employed. There's going to be different types of people and tribes deserving attention. There's going to be a sudden neediness for a certain type of person or a certain type of presence. Maybe you've been part of a certain type of company. You've been trying to work as an extra in movies and you didn't get any jobs for a long time, but suddenly they need exactly you for the job. So sometimes it'd be very, very uncomfortable and even annoying as to who gets chosen sometimes, because it's not necessarily the alpha. That's the thing. It's not necessarily the big guy. It's not necessarily the hottest girl. It's going to be very, very unusual, but very easy choices as to what happens between people and what is the conglomerate going to eventually start looking like. On a political arena, on a global arena, I guess, I suppose, that this would be the time of very, very large things happening, big, delightful changes, people wanting to be very big and very magnetic. So we might have some kind of narcissistic rulers again during this time. We might get a lot of people wanting to do something like that, and they're going to be probably very no-nonsense, giant monetary schemes invested into. The governments are going to go crazy spending, doodling up new designs and concepts. It's going to be very original, quote-unquote original, and unique what some rulers or world leaders might start to evolve, but I wouldn't get into this mess. I just would trust it on the level that it is in your world, in your life. You don't have to go about arguing, as North Node and Aries is going to bring about at least one or two arguments. But then again, it's not actually going to be just that. It's going to be people trying to involve and invest into larger, bigger sums of money, bigger propositions and larger conglomerates, and also, I guess, people's egos, as North Node and Aries is going to really kick that up a bit. Egos are going to be really joyful and invested into large, giant, and epic things. Also, we are at the end of a certain cycle here. We will be going eventually into Dragon year in 2024. So most of this transit is going to be in Dragon. So the certain developmental phase of Rabbit is coming to an end. We're going to go through another couple of phases, and then there's going to be Dragon. And when Dragon is there, it's just going to be all show. I'm seeing a big, giant red flag. This could be like the flag of China or just a big red flag. And there's going to be so many people invested into nationalism, imperialism, anything to do with incredible national pride, pride for their people, pride for their country, pride for their money, pride for their nature, their race, or just, I don't want to sugarcoat it. Basically, there is a lot of like dumbness, like people just walking out there and shaking a fist and raising the flag and nationalism and incredible need to be heard and seen and understood via a larger conglomerate of people. So it's like, hey, look at me, for example. It could be like, yeah, I am from here, or yeah, I believe in this, or this is my faith, you know. So there is this kind of dumb, sort of blinded need to be territorial and egotistical, or like a little flamboyant about what one is and what one has got. People are getting very racy about how much money they got in their pocket, what they can spend it on, or what they're about, or where they got their pride, or never mind. So basically, it's just kind of stupid. There's got to be a bit of stupidity there, and there's going to be a lot of aggression also from another side, and there's going to be all of these like sort of big daddy-os, like these big also corporate giants and political people, these, I suppose, heroes of the people fighting it out and making it known and being that big, hairy beast, or being that giant, even vulgar energy. So there's going to be very, very like money orientated as well. It's going to be also costly. Like there's going to be giant campaigns, and I suspect there's going to be just predatorism and big teeth, big claws. But then there's also going to be many people in the South Node and Libra just happy together. There's going to be people just happy together, happy to be husband, happy to be wife, happy to be knit together, happy to be in a community, happy to be not arguing about anything now, happy to be normal, happy to be alkaline, happy to be transcended, and just not worrying about anything. So the peace, the sign of peace, in a way in the South Node is in the sign of peace. There's Libra. So Libra is about peace, and it's about balance and equilibrium. So it's going to be like equals, you know, South Node Libra equals, you know, and then there's going to be North Node Aries, you know, so not equals, you know, so there's going to be quite a big change, I think, that quite a lot of people are wondering about, wishing about, and then there's going to be some big political minds and people speaking of all these things. I mean, I would honestly trust what you've got. If you've got peace in your home, kudos to you. If you've got a nice relationship, if you've got nice, peaceful, simple living, maybe that's all that you actually need. But if you don't have that, maybe you're going to go spending your money, spending your energy, going around, you know, telling your pride outwardly, meaning like speaking your pride, speaking your wisdom, making friends abroad. People are going to be very hysterical during this time, and I think that a lot of people also can conceive pretty damn smart and good ideas because of this incredible catharsis and this intensity. So also in terms of Dragon Year, in Chinese astrology, 2024, the Dragon Year is going to be very lucky. It's considered probably the luckiest year, and it's considered very big and bolshy, and this is the time where also you'll be remembered for a lot of that which you're doing. So, for example, if you love causing trouble, there's going to be definitely in your criminal records during this time. If you also enjoy speaking up, if you like to be a part of a certain tribe, if you enjoy bringing something to people, it could be art, it could be, I don't know, anything like you take pride in. It could be paperwork, it could be, I don't know, money, it could be humble, housely things. You know, if you really, really got it right, you'll probably have to do it for forever, ever more. So like if people constantly invest in a certain type of deed or task, that could become perfected, become part of their identity, basically. So it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be remembered by. And there is a sense of eternity also to Libra, South Node. So what you're going through during this time might make an outcome that eventually becomes iconic or crystallized. So, for example, you make an online store that eventually makes it, and makes it for many, many years, even decades to come. It could be very easy to make a body of work that eventually gets recognized by the global market. You know, it could be that you can also be glamorized or identified in a certain way that you don't necessarily want to be glamorized or identified by. So, for example, if you're a young woman with eating disorders and you're very, very obsessed with your body, and then you start, taking photos of yourself or walking to communities where you are stared at or you're glamorized, yeah, you can do this, but this might be many years of that. And it will be very, very hard to walk out of it. So, I mean, what I'm basically saying is that there is a certain type of permanence that eventually occurs in the dragon year anyway. And also, yeah, South Node and Libra, eternity rules Libra. Libra speaks of things that are eternal. So there's going to be an endless memory of some things. And it feels to me also with Saturn going through the 12th house to the North Node as just not going to be an easy game if you don't want to be that which you are fighting to be during this time. So sometimes people have a click. Sometimes people have it easy also, like they have a certain type of system that supports them, a certain type of social wave or social network. That's an okay thing to do, but believe it, because if you're not in it, maybe you won't get it. So this is another thing. So, for example, you're working with certain media. If you switch off that media, you might not have anything anymore. Or like, for example, you're working with certain type of prism of consciousness, like you're working with people that come from a certain system of beliefs. You don't have anything apart from what they can offer you later on in the years. So it's just really important not to put your foot wrong. So like some people have a lot of passion, have a lot of violence, or have a lot of ego, and they might go around shooting energy and feeling very, very stable and very fine doing that. But this can cause a lot of issues, So it's not just about shooting. It's about being very precise and direct about where you're going. Because Aries is very much about precision, and it's about being sometimes also the one and only. This is really hard. The one and only person that's able or capable to handle this much pressure, the one and only person that's able to carry this much weight, or the only person that can sing like this, or the only person that can talk like this. It's a very, very big message. So Aries North Node, it's not just about you and you only. It's just also being the one that has developed a skill or a talent that nobody else really cares to develop necessarily. So it's not about being necessarily special or being the prize winner, because it's a hardship that sometimes gets a person to evolve and to mutate in a certain way. So, for example, if you are really, really great at something, it's not necessarily that you just out of your own happiness and joy got really good at it. Sometimes it takes a certain trauma to birth a certain genius potential, but not for everybody, of course. Though it might be kind of a hard way of life if you, for example, get noticed for a very particular or even peculiar talent, and then eventually get weeded out into the masses, as that might not be maybe the best way to do it. It might not have enough ego potential within it, but yeah, then you're kind of bound to it. It's like rock solid. So, for example, you sing dreamy ballads for the rest of your life, or yeah, it looks like it's a wonderful. But it's very, very rough, and sometimes there is a war, or there is like a strong territory that certain individuals will be put into, as they are the only one that can be that person, or that can escape a certain fate. And maybe that's also why there is very much the one and only sometimes, like why there is only this person that is able to do this, or there's only like a certain type of shaman or a certain type of teacher, simply because it is so heavy on anybody else. Not because it is necessarily a rare credential or it's like a really rare person, but they're sometimes very, very useful people that can do things nobody else can do. Like they can drive a truck for days without rest. That's very rare, or like they're specialists, like, I don't know, like people that fly certain jets, people that can participate in a certain type of war without being traumatized by it. People also that, for example, can make shoes in a certain way for people with special postures or special feet. And also, I suppose, yeah, with also Pluto going for Aquarius, like there's a real individual needed. Like there's a freak needed. It's a real individual. Like, so amongst this ocean of clicks and sort of like even slightly shady participants, like amongst all these voices, amongst all these people, amongst all of these people that have like figured out how to use online business strategies, or all of these people that want to be models, all these people that want to be actors, all these people that want to be greats or innovators, is going to be just the one sometimes that actually does it. So that's a very, very also fine place to be, but it's not necessarily nurturing. So, like, yeah, the Taurus North Node was about eventually getting to a certain state of glamour and nurture and peace and sustenance. It's about things fitting and everything being respectful and cared for. It's about things making sense. So, as we would have gotten out of North Node and Taurus, South Node and Scorpio, it would have made sense. Things would have made sense and became like a beautiful, lush, or just at least a semi-normal picture. Then Aries is not about normal. Aries is not necessarily about that. It is about knowing what's what, and yet again having to experience certain tragedies and certain pathways in life that are vulnerable or vulnerabilizing, but in the end having your own. Like having your own money, having your own throat, having your own words, having your own say, having your own wisdom, having your own also fragility and tragedy. It's very much about also ownership, and we are starting this during Cancer, and this transit will end in Capricorn 2025 eventually. So what I'm saying is that not that many people are going to have to be those people later, and then in some cases is going to be a question: why did I spend my 2024, my 2023 this way? Why was I knocking at this door? Because there are going to be certain world events and certain ideas that are going to trap certain people in that role, in that place. So, for example, somebody might say, I'm just going to like try exotic dance. I'm going to get into the club for like 5 or 6 months and just see how I go, and then make as much money as I can and leave. You probably won't leave, or you'll be tied into these industries probably for a long time. So yeah, there is an end to it as well. So like there is like a bit of karma, obviously, with this North Node. But the best basically is yet to come. So I'm feeling that certain people that are more calm in their nature and that have developed themselves enough and that don't want to fight or be a thief or be cruel or be crude, if they've been tested by life and they've stopped emitting certain energies and they've been maybe searching for more peaceful or more respectful strategies in life, they might have a very easy time. So it could be a very mild change that they need. But also in terms of incredibly conformist people might not have their way during this time. It might be kind of in the background that they do what they need to do. Dragon year, to conform during a dragon year is to have total peace. But not every single person needs that peace, so there's a big question. Do you conform during a dragon year, or do you really let it rip and like get out of it, get out of your mind and say everything that you wanted? And sometimes your health and justice depends on it. So I also understand that a bit of rebellion and a little bit of ego can actually push the body into hormone production and can help end a lot of negative cycles. Like people that have a lot of jealousy and anger and fright sometimes are, in a sense, very strong. They can also be incredibly pushed people as well. So in terms of biological health, being passive also during a dragon year 2024 is going to be very hard. Being passive and just relaxed is going to be very hard. It's not all going to be like passivity wins. I could say peace wins, but it's not just this. There's like a lot of shift that's needed for certain people. So, I mean, this kind of depends how you see it. I feel in certain cases we will have to understand the body and go directly to what the body needs, because North Node in Aries is going to be your physical, biological difficulties being faced, and also understanding where you are very alone or very, very single or very sort of like I don't know, like the odds are against you, or where you are really singled out. If also you have had a certain type of diagnosis during this time with a certain type of rare disorder, it's very, very hard, very difficult. Yeah. So, what is good? I mean, what's always been good and healthy is having some time. Peace is very good and healthy, obviously. And eating healthy and drinking tea, herbal teas and elixirs, trying to do things carefully, not going into like warfare, not going into the war mind, which is what Aries North Node is going to bring up. You don't necessarily have to sweat all day at the gym, to get that body. You don't necessarily have to try so hard to make your story worth it. And unfortunately, I'm seeing people wanting that make believe or that ideal more than they even want themselves, and fighting for things that don't matter. So it's also about history. I feel there's going to be some really big scars in history made during this time. There's going to be a warring time potentially during Dragon Year anyway. So basically, how you do this is your choice. It is about balance, and it is about finding yourself, and also recognizing what is free will and how you've been using your free will, and understanding what is karmic. So thank you very much. Enjoy, and check out my Patreon and my books and things like that. And I will see you next time and such. Thank you. Bye.